Somewhere right now, a 45-year-old is lying awake doing math in their head. Not complicated math, just one number over and over. How many working years do I have left? And right behind that number comes a feeling, a tight, sinking feeling that it's too late. That the people who are going to retire comfortably already locked it in years ago, and everyone else missed the boat. Here's the strange part. That feeling is almost never based on actual numbers. It's based on a story. And today, we're going to replace the story with the math, because the math is a lot kinder than the fear. Let's start with the belief that's wrecking people at this exact age. Most people think wealth building is like catching a train. Either you're on it by 25, or you watch it pull away and spend the rest of your life on the platform. This idea is everywhere. In the Millionaire by 30 videos, in the friend who bought Amazon stock in 2003, in every article about compound interest that starts with, if only you'd started at 22. So by 45, a lot of people quietly give up, not out loud. They just stop trying to build anything and shift into a kind of financial autopilot. Pay the bills, hope for the best, maybe buy a lottery ticket on a rough Friday. The logic feels airtight. The early years were the ones that mattered, and mine are gone. But this belief has one enormous flaw. It treats wealth building like a single event, a train you either catch or miss. In reality, it's closer to planting a forest. Yes, a tree planted 20 years ago is bigger today, but a tree planted this year will still be enormous in 20 more years. The only real mistake is refusing to plant anything because the first tree isn't as tall as you wanted. So let's actually look at what planting late looks like in real numbers. Say you're 45 and you start putting $500 a month into an investment account, an ordinary index fund, nothing exotic. Historically, the stock market has grown on average around 7% a year after inflation over long periods. That's not a guess pulled from thin air. It's roughly what US markets have returned over the past century, accounting for the crashes, the recoveries, all of it. At $500 a month, growing at 7% a year, by the time you're 65, that's 20 years, you'd have built up somewhere around $260,000. Keep going to 70, and it crosses roughly $380,000. Now, here's the part almost nobody tells you. Of that $260,000, only $120,000 came directly from your own pocket. The other $140,000, more than half, came from growth. From the money making more money while you were at work, asleep, on vacation, arguing with your GPS. You didn't do that part. Time did. This is where most explanations stop, right at the big number, like it's the finish line. But the real insight isn't the number. It's why the number works even starting late. Compound growth isn't linear. It's not the same size gain every year. It's small for a long time, and then it explodes. Think of it like inflating a balloon. The first 10 breaths barely change its shape. It looks like nothing is happening. But the last few breaths, the ones near the end, that's when it visibly swells. Money behaves the same way. The first several years of investing look unimpressive. The growth is quiet, almost boring. But the later years, where the balance is bigger, is when the same 7% suddenly means real money. Someone starting at 25 gets more of those balloon inflating years. That's true, and there's no point pretending otherwise. But someone starting at 45 still gets the second half of the balloon, the part where the growth is actually visible. You're not missing the whole show. You're walking in during intermission and still catching the part where things get interesting. There's also a psychological trap hiding underneath all of this. When people compare themselves to the mythical started at 22 investor, they're comparing their real, complicated life to a fictional person who never had a divorce, a layoff, a medical bill, kids, or a business that failed. That comparison isn't motivating. It's just punishment dressed up as motivation. And punishment doesn't build wealth. Consistent, boring action does. So what should someone starting at 45 actually understand if not, you're behind? First, the amount you invest matters more than your starting age once you're in your 40s. If $500 a month feels tight, even $150 a month started today beats $500 a month started someday. Because someday has a habit of never arriving. Second, time in the market matters far more than timing the market. Nobody needs to predict the next crash or the next boom. They need to keep showing up, month after month. The same way a gym membership only works if you actually go. Third, starting at 45 isn't starting over. It's starting with more information than you had at 25. You know your spending patterns. You know which financial mistakes actually hurt. And that knowledge doesn't show up on a bank statement. So here's the real takeaway. The goal was never to become the person who started earliest. The goal is to become the person who, 20 years from now, is glad they started at all. Instead of the person still lying awake, still doing the same math, still waiting for a better time. There is no version of this story where waiting another 5 years makes the numbers look better. There's only a version where you start now, or a version where you start later and wonder why you waited. The train didn't leave without you. It just turns out there was never only one train. If this helped even one number in your head feel a little less scary, do me a favor, hit subscribe. This channel is all about making the math kinder than the fear, one video at a time. And if you're ready to plant your first tree, the next video is right here. It breaks down exactly where to put that first $2. Don't wait for someday. Start today. I'll see you in the next one.